Hello everybody and welcome back. And today's video we're going to be talking about how to remove your third party and get your person or person back, whatever it may be. And we're going to specifically touch on the third party thing specifically because I've had quite a few clients actually come to me with this as an issue, and I figured, you know what, if there's a lot of clients coming to me, there's definitely more people that just watch that have third parties as well, and this video goes out to you guys. And if you're still trying to just get your SP but there's no third party, don't worry, this video will still have, you know, gems for you guys to enjoy and to also apply in your everyday lives to get your desires. Okay guys, once again, all I ask is if this video inspires you in any way, you learn anything new, hit that like button so therefore it goes to other people so it can inspire them just as it inspired you. Other than that, you already know where to reach me, embodiedthestate.com, and let's just dive into it, okay guys? So third parties, right? We all have heard the term, we all know what it is, and you know, unlucky for some of us, we're dealing with it, right? And this video is gonna help you guys a lot. And the thing about third parties is, I know to you guys it seems so scary, right? It seems so real in this world that we live in, right? And it's, you wake up and boom, you're already aware that, oh, there's a third party. I gotta get them away from my man or my woman, right? But just find peace from me, like take peace in these words and understand that your third party, that's that one that appeared in your life, the same way that you brought them in, you can get them out, right? And we're gonna touch on that specifically as well, because, you know, Neville also said, you know, to take, in other words, to remove a problem from your life, you wanna take your attention off it and let it wither and die, right? And he goes into major detail on this, right? More than once. And it's so true. Think about it. If every day you wake up and you are aware that there is a third party, does that sound like being in alignment with having? Does that sound like being in alignment that your person is yours already and living in that assumption in your inner world, right? It's not, right? And on top of that, when you start realizing, okay, if I'm constantly aware of my problem and things aren't changing, that's 1 + 1 = 2. Like, it adds up, right? It makes sense. So ask yourself, do I want my third party, this one, in my life still? And if the answer is no, then ask yourself, why are you constantly worrying about them? Why are you constantly jumping to the fact, the present world, right, that you're facing, that there's a third party to remove, right? Instead, all you have to do, and this is like, the law is so simple, and I know that sometimes when I explain it, I make it sound easier than it actually is, but truth be told, it is that easy, right? If you want this third party gone, you have to stop being aware that there's even a third party, right? It doesn't mean to, you know, if you see them holding hands or they post something on social media, it doesn't mean you have to be like, oh, they love me and I'm with them and my 3D is fact right now and it's in my 3D and I have it already in my 3D. It's nothing to do with that, right? You can still acknowledge, okay, this is something that I created. This is something that I don't like and that I'm experiencing. That being said, I'll take credit for it, and I know that moving forward, the same way I brought this in, I can remove that, right? I can remove the problem. So I want you guys to ask yourself, right? If I want my stuff and I know the law, at least at a beginner level, which is more than enough to manifest, by the way. You don't have to read all the books I've read and stuff like that, but it does help. And if you want your whatever your desire is, and in this video it's the third party gone and your SP back, or just SP in general, then you got to realize, okay, if I know the law and I know that everyone is me pushed out, and I know that what I am conscious of and what I believe is going to be my outer reality, why am I going to believe day after day that my person is not mine in my inner world, right? And I don't mean in your 3D, I'm talking in your inner world. Why am I going to believe that they're not mine and then instead look to the outer world, the 3D, and then start feeling bad about that, start feeling worried about it, start feeling helpless, like a victim with no power, right? And you got to realize, when you wake up and your focus is on the third party and you're checking social media to see if they've gone on dates, did they propose, are they getting, you know, are they engaged, are they getting married, any of the stuff, right? You realize, maybe you may not realize, you're manifesting that they stay together. You're pushing them towards each other. You might as well wrap them up in a gift and give them to your person, right? Because think about it. If you know how the law works, right? And if you watch my videos, right, and you study my content, you will know that I preach all the time, what you are aware of is going to be your outer experience. What you accept as fact is going to be your outer experience. And that's why I share with you guys my story at the beginning of my journey, when I was manifesting my first ever SP and stuff, you know, and even my other financial stuff that I was doing. Even though my 3D was showing me that I had all these problems, all these issues, all these things that that the world was giving to me, that more importantly that I was saying, right, at the time, because I didn't fully understand the law back then, but I just knew enough that I had to feel it and trust it within myself and accept that I already am the one that has a solution every time I was to, think of my desire. So when I started doing this, and the reason I share this with you guys is so you guys see that my inner world was not, oh no, there's this thing happening in the 3D. Oh no, I don't have this, I don't have that. No, I was aware that I don't have these things. I was aware of the problems, but nothing was stopping me from looking at those problems and still feeling that I have the solutions. That's why I tell people all the time, right? You can even test it yourself. Go to a mirror. I tell this to some clients sometimes. Go to a mirror and literally find something about yourself you don't like. And then ask yourself, who is judging that, right? Ask yourself, who is the one that is making you feel that way about the thing you don't like? Because it's not the outside world. It's not the strangers that you'll see if you go out to the mall and stuff, right? It's not going to be anyone. It's going to be yourself, right? It's you judging. So when you start realizing, oh my God, I'm the one that's giving life to these things. I'm the one that's bringing awareness to these problems and these things I don't like, including the third party, right? Then you realize, oh my God, I'm manifesting it. And you got to realize what you're doing in that moment is you're applying the law perfectly, but you're doing it you're pretty much using it against yourself. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. They wake up and then they'll do the techniques, they'll force like a 40-minute meditation, they'll do all these things, right? And then they'll go right back to living in the 3D. They'll go right back to, looking at all the problems in this world. And then they're gonna just be like, oh no, why are things not changing? How come nothing's moving? But then they don't realize they're spending majority of the time in lack, right? They only fulfill themselves here and there. And then they're just going right back to accepting the 3D, to looking at their person as, having a third party, that, oh no, I hope they don't get married. I'm doing these techniques, but why are they not messaging me, right? And you realize it's all pointless, right? You're manifesting against yourself. Your only job is to genuinely, every single time you think of your person, you have to start accepting the fact that you already are the one that has them. And you're doing this through the understanding that there are multiple probable realities where you have your desire, where you have your person, and the third party isn't even a thing, right? Like, think about it. If you guys were together, you and your SP were together, right? And the third party was gone, and you've been together for at least a year now, and it's been perfectly happy. Would you ever just sit there out of nowhere? You're on the couch with your SP, cuddling, watching Netflix, and out of nowhere, are you going to be like, oh no, there's a third party? No, right? Because it's not in your awareness, because of course that's not your life. Your job now is to bring those things that you want into your awareness and accept that as fact, accept that it already exists. Remember, creation is finished. So if you want to get rid of your third party, it's all about understanding. My job is to recognize the problems and then go straight to the end, go straight to the solutions of those problems. So in this video, the problem is the third party. So when your person is with a third party, your job is to recognize, just because you see them together in the 3D, or you know that they're together in your 3D present reality, it does not mean that you have to feel anything other than in love and being loved by your person. You're in control of that. You can decide what you experience within, because remember, manifesting is not about trying to just force yourself to feel good and then hope for results. It's about genuinely changing yourself. It's about returning to the consciousness of having the thing that you want, right? That's why, I love the quote, when you pray, believe that you have received it and it will be so, right? In other words, it's telling you, when you give things, when you're in imagination and you give things to yourself and you believe that you received them in that moment, right? Eventually it'll become your life, right? And isn't that simple? Like, that's not scary at all. And that tells you right there, all I have to do is now control my mind. And that's why I tell you guys that little mirror exercise, right? It's because when you recognize that you're the one in charge of how you feel, you're the one in charge of how you accept and interpret your 3D world, and no one else, then you realize that you're wasting your time if you're doing anything other than returning to fulfillment. Because remember, when your third party is in your face, it's your choice to decide in that moment, am I going to trust my inner world more than my external? Or am I going to trust my 3D more than my inner world? And as you already know, that your inner world, what you do within yourself, gets pushed out, right? Everyone is you pushed out. So if you are aware that there is a third party and that you're worrying about it over and over and you're returning to that state of consciousness, then that third party has to continue to stay in your life. And the answer, and the question which I want you to answer is, do I want that to continue happening? And if the answer is no, then ask yourself, then why do I keep worrying about it? Why not just go straight to the end of being with my person, trusting and knowing that they're going to be mine, right? And that's really as simple as it can get. You don't have to lift a finger. Neville talks about this. You don't have to do anything crazy. It's all about understanding, okay, what is it that I want? Okay, I want this third party gone. So as of right now, this third party, I'm not even going to entertain them anymore. Every time I think of my person, it's going to be from a perspective of having them already. I'm going to accept that we are together already. And you're not doing it in a crazy delusional way that you're trying to convince yourself your 3D is different. Remember that. Instead, you're doing it with the understanding, as I mentioned earlier in the video, that creation is finished. And if creation is finished, that means that there are multiple probable realities where you have your desires. And when you realize, okay, my job is to identify with those realities over the one that I'm physically in. And that is how I reflect the changes in my life. So now that you know this, does it make sense to look at your SP and then to be anything other than we're together? And that's my person, that's my man, that's my woman, right? This is who I am now. I can feel the reality of it. I can accept it now. And the answer is no, it makes no sense to do anything other than that, because that's how you apply the law. Go back and look at your life and look at all the things that are negative that happened to you, and then start tracing what you were feeling and doing within your inner world leading up to those things manifesting and reflecting in your life, right? And a lot of you will realize, oh my God, I manifested getting cheated on. I can see exactly how it happened. I was worrying about it. I was feeling not good enough. I was feeling that it was for sure going to happen. And I kept returning to that. And there's your evidence, right? Same thing with breakups, right? A lot of people, they don't realize, oh, I don't know how this breakup happened. But then when you start digging into their mind and into their memories and you get them to walk through certain things, they realize very fast, oh my God, you know what? I was actually worrying that I wasn't good enough. I was worrying that there was another girl that was prettier, or another guy that had more money, or that was more attractive, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. But these doubts started creeping in and you started accepting them. You became aware of them. Remember, in your mind, who is judging? And when those doubts come and you accept them, it's you judging that. Just how when you view your 3D, you can still judge it differently. You can still view things differently. There's nothing stopping you. So just remember, guys, the third party stuff, to me, it's like very elementary. It's so basic. And trust me when I say it, I'm not saying it to discredit the struggle that you guys are going through, but I want you to understand that although this seems so big and scary to you, I'm telling you, it's not a scary thing to change. It's not hard to change. This is something that, I don't even want to use the word fixable, but it is fixable. It's something you can change, right? Because technically, nothing's broken. You're just experiencing a reality that was always existing, and you brought that into your 3D through your awareness, right? Whether you know it or not. And your job is to now reflect something else through your awareness by identifying with what already is. Remember, always go back to creation is finished. And if you need to, right, at the beginning of my journey, I always used to say something as simple as it is done. And when I would say it is done, it just meant that my in other words, the reality that I wanted was already existing. And then that got my brain to start identifying with that reality. Because remember, you have to identify with what you can't see. You have to, as Neville says, deny your senses and stop identifying with what you see and start identifying with what you can't see yet. Because the world has taught you that seeing is believing. And manifestation is about believing before you can see it. So now that you know all this information, does it not make sense now that when you think of your person, you go straight to the end? That when you start viewing these problems, you start realizing, yes, I see these problems, but they don't have to be permanent. I don't have to feel bad about them. And yes, if you want to cry and do whatever, go for it. Feel your emotions. Don't deny yourself that. But just realize, pick yourself up after and recognize that you are in control of this whole crazy world that we live in, right? This dream that you are all dreaming. So when you realize, okay, I'm in full control, and the Creator, the Almighty, the Father, would not feel this way about the things I'm looking at. They wouldn't be worried. They wouldn't be sitting here like a victim, stalking social media, wondering, are they doing stuff together? Why am I not good enough? Why is it taking me so long? Why is everyone else getting their stuff and not me? Forget that. It's about having, guys. Remember, until you return to having over and over and over again to the point that it becomes who you are, then you're going to have a slow journey, right? And I don't like teaching you guys to get slow results, right? If that was the case, I'd be telling you guys to just blindly affirm 24/7 all day and just wait one day till you magically just accept it, right? Instead, I understand, states. Pretty much, it's what you're aware of that manifest, and what you're dominantly aware of, what you accept. It's your beliefs, right? And as Neville says, and I always tell people on chapter 22 of The Power of Awareness from Neville Goddard, he explains in a short little paragraph that in order to actually make the change, it's nothing to do with how long you're holding a feeling or whatever else it may be. It's nothing to do, it's not the length of time, but he says it's the frequency to which you return to the state that matters, because that creates the habit. And the more you practice returning to the state, you're going to realize that in between, your little walks to the fridge, you're going to just pop in the state because you've now started making it a habit. You're going to realize when you're going to your car and it pops up in your head, your desire, you're going to be able to go to the state easier. Why? Because you took a few days to start practicing mental diet, to start applying your brain, and you're using it for your betterment this time instead of against you. So just remember, guys, it's nothing to do with the outside world. I know the outside world seems so scary. I know that sometimes you might feel powerless. I know sometimes you might question if this even works, but I'm telling you guys, no one has ever came to me and then promised themselves to go a full month, a full 30 days, and truly live by the law. I don't mean like 90% and then 10%, just spiraling and doubting themselves and blah, blah. No, I mean truly like dedicating themselves to trusting that the law will work and being open-minded and just testing it out for themselves. No one has ever done that for a full month and then came back to me and said, oh no, nothing happened. Oh no, there wasn't movement. Or oh no, I don't feel better, right? It's never happened. And the question is, why are you not doing that? Why are you guys not deciding, okay, I'm fed up with this life and clearly what I'm doing isn't working? And if it's been months, weeks, and by the way, when I say weeks, I don't want you thinking like, oh, if it takes weeks, then you're doing something wrong. But if it's been like months and years and stuff like that, ask yourself, okay, what have I been doing and has it been in alignment with the law? And then start doing the little checklist, right? I tell my clients all the time, we're going to start running a checklist, and ask yourself, and this is how you reassure yourself, right? If you know that every time you are thinking of your person, you're going straight to the solution, straight to recognizing what already is. Because remember, it is done. Creation is finished, and you're identifying with what already is done, right? And if you're doing that and you're doing your best when the negative thoughts come in, if they do come in, right? Because sometimes they won't even pop in, especially if you're falling asleep in the wish fulfilled and then during the day you're controlling your mind. You'll find it's a lot harder to have negative thoughts. You'll be in a positive state most of the time. But if you're doing all the stuff that's needed, right, which is just simple, it's thought pops in, right? You're aware of your awareness, you're aware of your desire, and then you go straight to having. You ignore the third party. You don't sit there and dwell on it and question yourself, none of that. But instead, remember, it's pops up in your head, go straight to it is done. How does it feel to be the person that has the desire now? It's kind of like you're stepping into the future. And I know people are going to be like, oh, timeline is this and that and da-da-da. I get it. I'm just doing it. I explain it this way just so like the logical mind understands. But just realize that it's like you're going to the future, your future experience, right? And you're looking back at your present self now. So the way I would do it is, let's hypothetically say, and lucky for me, I don't have a third party. Instead, I have a wonderful girlfriend, and she's waiting to watch this video. Like, I already know as soon as I upload it, she's going to be one of the first people to watch. She's one of my biggest fans. But let's say hypothetically that there was a third party before I got her, right? If there was a third party, this is what I would do. She pops in my head, and of course the third party is attached to her, right? So that's going to be my head too. So boom, I'm aware, right? And all I do is I go from point A to point B, right? So I know creation is done. So I don't focus on, oh no, she's with a third party and this and that and blah, 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 right? And, what am I going to do? Instead, I'm aware of what I want. I understand the rules to the game. I understand how the law works. I understand my power. I understand that I am the creator of my reality. I know that I am an aspect of God. And I know that nothing can be denied to me unless I deny to myself. All that's in the back of my head all the time. So pops in my head. All that runs in the back of my head. And it reminds me that creation is finished. So I go, boom, the solution, right? The solution is, that's already mine. She is already mine, right? We're already together, not in my 3D, but in inner worlds, in probable realities. And I'm identifying with that. How would I feel if I had her? And the answer to me personally would be relief. And I'd feel happy, right? And that's what it would be like, right? And I just start accepting that. I start contemplating that life. And then, of course, the pictures will form, the visuals, all that stuff. But I'm already in this state, right? It's my state that's producing that. So just recognize, guys, that, it's so simple. It's just keeping the little rules in the back of your head, and then truly trusting in the law more than your outer world, right? And truly understanding that you're in charge of all this. And if you guys want something that is like, whether you're going from point A to point B, and you guys are trying to figure out what am I gonna do to manifest this change, it's as simple as understanding that it's already done. The only thing left to do is to accept that it already is, and then contemplate what that would feel like, right? What does that world look like? What would you be doing, right? And you're gonna start then having the visuals, the pictures, and so on and so on. And you might even notice a shift in how you feel. Me personally, it's relief a lot of the times, or gratitude, right? And Neville talks about gratitude a lot because it's very powerful. I'm not saying you need it, right? I'm not saying you have to feel these things, but even Seth goes into detail how positive emotions accelerate your manifestation. And in my experience, it's true, because every single time I started feeling, abundant and wealthy and so on, or I started feeling whatever it is that I wanted at the time, it was a matter of days, assuming I was consistent, because there are times where it took way more than a week, right? Way more than 2 weeks for some things in my past, but it's because I wasn't changing. I wasn't making the effort to truly live by the law, right? But any goal I've ever truly lived by the law, it always came very fast. And that's what you guys need to do, is start training your brain. Every single time you go to the problem in your mind, remind yourself creation is finished. It is done. And take your awareness to the solution. Don't put it on the third party and the problem. It's about going to the solution. What does the solution look like? How would you feel if your life now was the way you wanted it to be? And then it's like I said, you go to the future and you look back at your present reality. How would that future you be looking at you now, right? Would they be looking at you like, man, I can't believe I worried that much? And that's most likely the answer, right? You'd be shaking your head half the time, and you'd be like, it was all for, all that worry was for nothing, because I ended up getting what I wanted, and I realized I wasted all my energy on that. That's how you would look at it. You would start feeling relieved. You would start smiling at your present, circumstances, right? You would start smiling at the third party, because you know that they're going to be gone. And truth be told, if you're applying the law, then you know for a fact that they're going to be out of the picture. So technically, you can start celebrating that within, that they're already gone, because you know it's going to change, right? That's why I like to use the lottery as an example. If you know that you got something guaranteed coming in, when you think about it, you celebrate. You start seeing yourself enjoy it, right? Why are you guys not doing the same thing? And that's what I wanted to get across with this video. It's about using logic and the law together, right? I know some people will say logic and the law don't go hand in hand, but I would argue to say, pretty much, if you're being logical, the law is very simple, right? It's the illogical, that makes it hard. So when you realize, okay, my future experience is based on what I'm doing within myself. So what I'm going to experience in this 3D of mine is based on what I continue to accept within, to the point that it becomes who I am, and then it gets pushed out, right? And just as the quote says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so shall he be, right? So just remember that. You have to truly return to being the person that has the solutions. Take your awareness off the third party, right? You notice how in this whole video, I never once told you to think about them and to focus on them and the problems. No, I'm more focused on the solutions, right? And some of you might be saying like, okay, so is that it? Is that how I remove the third party? Yes. You take your awareness off the problem and towards the solution. You got to focus on what already is finished. So if creation is finished, and you know that by living by the law, your 3D is going to change, then why would you not be excited when it pops in your head? Because you realize you're doing things right. You realize you're living by the law, right? It's just a simple decision. It's like turning a key. It pops in your head, turn that key, go to the solution, and you accept that, and then you move on with your life, and you rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And I'm telling you, it becomes an automatic process. Neville talks about this in The Power of Awareness, right? And a lot of his other lectures as well. It's just a matter of, are you going to do it, or are you going to feel good once or twice here and there, and then spend the rest of your time worrying, checking social media, wondering why things aren't happening fast enough? Am I doing it right? So on and so on. Be honest with yourself, guys. Don't be afraid to be honest with yourself and see where you're going wrong. And I'm telling you, put your awareness off the third party, focus on what already is finished. And the finished result in multiple realities is that you guys have a life together. You guys are in love and happy, okay? So when you realize all this, then you realize there's nothing to fear. There's nothing to worry about. And if there's nothing to worry about, then go live your life. Be happy. Because remember, your I am, the thing inside you, you're an aspect of God. That connection that you have with Source makes you the most powerful thing in your reality. So if you know that you are the most powerful thing in your reality, then does it make sense to sit there and to give awareness, to give life to the third party? No, right? So then why would you do that if you don't want it? And that's where mental diet comes in, okay guys? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it was a pleasure recording this for you guys, and I already know that the next video I have, you guys are gonna love it, because it's gonna be a topic that it's gonna benefit a lot of people. So thank you guys very much for staying this long, if you've made it to 24 minutes in, and I appreciate you all, and I will see you guys all very soon, okay?